我是台湾出生的，8岁来到美国，我父母亲搬到 DC 的地区，所以我现在是47岁，所以我将近39年只用英文讲话，所以今天我分享是用英文的分享，这是对我们两个弟兄很帮助，Richard and Clyde。Because they only speak English, so I'm going to speak mostly in English. But I want to give you a little history of how God's worked in my life, and then spend about half an hour sharing with you some great examples of how churches and ministries in America are using the internet to reach thousands and thousands of people around the world. My story has been a roller coaster ride. So my background is actually computer engineering from Virginia Tech. And then I worked a few years as an engineer, then felt called to ministry. And I went to Dallas Theological Seminary in 1991 and attended there for 5 years, and then pastored for 5 years, 2 years in a Chinese church in Raleigh, North Carolina, and 3 years in Northern Virginia. And the last 15 years, I've worked with parachurch organizations, including a private family foundation developing Asian American leadership, leadership network connecting with innovative churches, and Worship Leader magazine, helping them move from print to digital. So many of you may be in that kind of a situation where you have a lot of print history, but now we're in the 21st century where we have to learn how to be digital. And I'll show you many advantages to doing that as well in my presentation. So first half of my presentation is show you the examples, and then the second half show you some compelling reasons why. The flicker is not going to work, so I'm going to just, thank you. So one of the opportunities that I've done on the side, I worked as a strategy consultant mostly, as an independent, but I work with organizations, churches, and ministries. And one of the things I started last summer is this Social Media Church podcast. So every week I'm interviewing church leaders and ministries about how they're using social media. And I post it online for free, so about 200 listeners every week listen to real-life examples of how churches and organizations are using social media. So this is a tremendous resource for you to keep up with technology and ministry and learn from great examples instead of just theory. So I found that to be really helpful to connect with leaders. It helps me keep in touch, and I hope it will help you keep in touch. The thing is, you'll need to learn English, but Google's working on translators, so that will help all of us become a global village. One of the most effective evangelism tools is by a group called Global Media Outreach, now based in San Francisco. It has its roots in Campus Crusade for Christ. And one of their websites is called God Life, and they use the latest design to engage with the audience. And I think they're very intentional about feeding the search engines, because a large majority of people that use the internet use search engines to find what they're looking for. And so they provide compelling content with attractive visual to connect with the audience. On this next slide, it shows you just how much impact they're having around the world. And according to the footnote, these are the numbers of people that they're reaching every day. I mean, almost 1 million people visiting their websites every day. And they have a family of websites, so it's not just one, but they target different topics based on life needs, college ministry, family life, people interested in God or spiritual things, possibly pop cultural things. But this dashboard, if you go to greatcommission2020.com, I'm grateful for the hosts having free Wi-Fi for us. So if you have a laptop and you want to take a look, this is a live dashboard of seeing how many people they're reaching instantly right now. Another initiative that just launched this this summer is in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is described as the social media capital of America. Every March, they have a large conference called South by Southwest with like 20,000 people talking about music, film, and internet. And it's timely that they launched this campaign called Explore God. And it's a citywide campaign, 300 churches collaborating together, teaching the same sermon series, sharing their resources together to reach the whole city. And the website is a complementary strategy, so it's a multimedia, multi-channel strategy, offline and online, with lots of videos here to start those conversations so that people can hear the message of the gospel from many voices, many places for all of this month and the next. And they have billboards, they're advertising, so it's a saturation strategy that's happening right now in Austin, Texas. Pretty amazing. Another example, teaching. The internet can be used not only for evangelism, but also for teaching. And one of the pioneers of the internet ministries in terms of sharing teaching resources, Pastor John Piper, now retired, but they've been archiving content since 1980 when the internet was still very early, and they just post his sermon transcripts and then now sermon audios and just post it online, freely distributed for pastors and church leaders and Christians to use from around the world. Last count, they have over 5,000 resources being shared to encourage pastors, teachers, and Christians at Desiring God. And they also have conferences, so very valuable resource. But you don't have to be a big church to be sharing resources on the internet. It's very cost effective. So this is a small church plant that I found called Vintage Church, and they're just sharing their graphics from their sermon series, share their videos, and share their audios for other pastors to use. And so the internet, even as I'm talking, if you just turn on a recorder, you can share that content. Content's generated once, distributed many times. So content doesn't have to be hoarded or kept. The internet allows you to share it very freely and powerfully. Great example of how to do it even as a small church. Now, one of the most inspiring leaders in sharing resources on the internet is a church called Life Church. And this is based in Edmond, Oklahoma. Not exactly the place known for high tech and development, but yet they've resourced churches around America and around the world in so many ways. And I know there's someone here from YouVersion for Chinese that's here. And so through their Bible app that has had over 100 million downloads, I believe they have somewhere in the range of 80 to 100 languages now of Bible translation. And they also built other apps. So rather than just being behind on technology and trying to keep up, churches are now developing new apps to create culture rather than following culture. And so some of the apps that they've created include church metrics, where churches can measure people's response during a weekend, and Church Online, which is an online church that churches can provide a video feed and a chat room for interactive worship experiences online. Some very powerful things that this church has been, they have a value called irrationally generous. And so they give so much away, not only these apps, but also their resources. So the graphics, the print materials, their sermon series, the manuscript, the audio, and the video, all free to be shared with the world. And I haven't found that in other kinds of churches. Actually, it's very hard to find even in American churches, but they're a leading example of living out generosity. And I think it was Jesus that said, freely you have received, freely give. All right, I want to share with you a few examples of online churches. So worship is happening online. Thousands and thousands of people are worshiping online. This is a technology pioneer, Northland, a church distributed. in Orlando, Florida. And they have online worship services, and there's my picture right here. So I joined them for one Sunday, and it's a live video feed with a chat room on the side. And this church is very intentional in connecting the online and the offline experience. So during their greeting time, the MC was acknowledging, hey, welcome to all those worshiping with us online. And he actually called me out by name. He says, and DJ from Aliso Viejo, thank you for joining us online. And so that church really includes people online and offline as a part of the whole church experience. Very unusual, but very powerful, because no longer are you limited to your ministry in a room. Just like this forum right now, if we have a live stream and a chat room, you could be reaching hundreds and thousands of others who are interested in internet ministry. And that's the power of the internet. The previous one. I'll post all the slides and give it to give it to Jerry to share. I'll certainly have it on my personal website, djchuang.com. Now, my home church is Saddleback Church here in Lake Forest, California. And Saddleback is a multi-site church, meaning they have one large campus plus 7 other locations. And they also have an online campus. Now, just 2 weeks ago, when Pastor Rick returned from his 16-week sabbatical due to family matters, they exceeded the physical campus attendance online. They had more people worshiping online than they did in the rooms and the locations that they had. So I think their total attendance in their 8 locations was around 30,000, but online they had over 60,000. And so when you realize the potential to reach people with the gospel, with worship online is that powerful, it really changes your thinking to say, well, no longer are you limited by physical space or paying high rent. You can reach thousands and thousands of people online. And there are ways to facilitate engaging worship experiences online. In addition to the video feed, you can have a chat room, and you can have follow-up through social media. And I've had the opportunity to meet the online campus pastor. He's a young man of 25 years old, and very engaging and very connected through using social media. No longer do you have just one time a week to connect with people. You can connect with people 24/7, and that's the power of social media. Social media is also used for fellowship. So one of the ways that church leaders and ministry leaders in America are connecting is a Twitter chat. So every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time, there's a Twitter chat using a hashtag, Chasocm, CHSOCM. How many are on Twitter here? Okay, 20%, very good. So if you go on Twitter and you follow the hashtag, and hashtag is just a string of characters that anybody can use, and once you establish using it, other people join in as a conversation. And so every week on Tuesdays at 6 p.m., they have a 1-hour chat about church and social media. And all of that is captured in a transcript. So you have this ongoing snowball effect of learning together about how churches are using social media. And it's become quite a fellowship. About 100 people over the past 2 years have been connecting, and they've been building relationships online. And then once in a while, when people are in travels, you can meet them face to face, but you can stay connected online. We don't have to wait for a face-to-face meeting to have a relationship. You can have relationship and fellowship online through social media. I had an opportunity to connect with Neil Franks through my social media church podcast. So he's the latest interview that I just posted at socialmediachurch.net. And Neil Franks is a pastor of a church in Branson, Missouri, kind of the music place where a lot of music is performed there. And he launched an app that's very unique. you wouldn't think it would be unique, but he started this thing called 2-Minute Pastor. It's an app available on iOS as well as Android, and it gives you a really convenient way to, while you're waiting in line or on the train, you can watch a 2-minute video and get spiritual, edifying, devotional content. And he creates that every day. And 2-Minute Pastor gives you spiritual inspiration right at your fingertip. Would love to see that in Chinese and other languages too. Prayer. So internet allows all kinds of things to happen, but there's some good Christian things that are happening too. Prayer is happening on a Facebook page called Circle of Prayer, and this is sponsored by American Bible Society, which is where I'm working now. And over 187,000 likes, and people post their prayer requests, and people pray for it right there on the Facebook page. Very personal, very interactive, very spiritual, very powerful. So Facebook can be used not just as a broadcast medium, but as a communal, spiritual discipline kind of thing as well. This one, so in addition to prayer, discipleship. Discipleship is the process of helping someone mature in Christ. Now, the picture I'm showing you here is from Seacoast Church, also a multi-site church based in South Carolina. And they've built their own technology, their own website called Toolshed, where they're archiving all kinds of articles, videos, and audios to provide online training for discipleship. And as you can see, it's a colorful example, kind of more inspired by Instagram or Pinterest, just how people use the web today. And it's a great way that they're using to provide discipleship online through Toolshed. Now I want to share with you 7 reasons for why your ministry and your organization and you individually can really leverage the power of social media and internet to further extend your ministry. And one of the things I think in American society that is a great incubator for when it comes to online ministry is the creativity. Technology is moving so fast that you have to unleash young people to really keep up with the frenetic energy of how fast things develop. On the internet, the browsers that we use, Firefox, Chrome, they're coming out with a new version every 3 months. Now, how many of you do 3-month planning? Probably not. Probably annual planning, 3-year plan, 5-year plan. Well, when it comes to internet, that's too slow. That's too slow. And young people have a little more energy, older people have a little more wisdom, and the internet provides a great opportunity for multi-generational mentoring and discipleship. Now, I'm 47. I'd like to see a show of hands. How many are younger than 47 in this room? Okay, almost a third. Good. And I think to be more effective on the internet, since this is an internet forum, I would hope to see this room to be at least 50% younger and 50% older, and working together. And I think for us as Chinese, we value multi-generational ministry as one family. And so young people are eager. As I've worked with young Asian American leaders, the number one need from Asian American leaders is having a role model and mentor. And so young people are hungry for your relationship and your coaching in their life. But the previous slide is to show you how you can extend your ministry. They advanced it before I finished. So tech room, if you could rewind. Go back 1 slide, please. There we go. All right, so one of the opportunities I had with Christian Post, which is a popular online newspaper, I featured top 5 churches doing social media. And one of those churches is Mars Hill Church. And Mars Hill Church is pastored by a guy named Mark Driscoll, and they have a very strong social media ministry. I think their average age in the church is about 27, 28. And one of the things that they use very effectively, I think, is YouTube. So not just putting the sermon video and the sermon audio online, which they already do, and make it available through podcasts where it can automatically download onto your smartphone or your iPod or your iPad. They also take the sermon and clip it down into 2 or 3 minute segments, because 90% of viewers on YouTube watch videos that are less than 3 minutes long, right? And so, and Mark is a very provocative and compelling speaker, so he can draw the attention and kind of get under your skin too. But so 3 minute sound bites and post it onto YouTube, and you can see just thousands of viewers that watch his videos from week to week. One of the most creative things that I've seen them do is they also provide sermon previews. Now, they're a video-driven church, so Mark actually records the sermon a few days or a week before the Sunday worship. And so they'll take a clip from the video and provide it on their YouTube channel as a sermon preview. How many of you watch movies? Right? So just like trailers, you can provide a preview of coming attractions, and they do that very well. So extend your ministry. Now, this is the best example I can think of when it comes to internet. This is the web page, Facebook page, as a memorial to Khaled Said. And this Facebook page is attributed with having rallied the people of Egypt to overturn the government. And so if Facebook can overturn the government of Egypt, what is the church and what is our ministries doing to use the internet to serve the kingdom of God? So the powerful opportunity is there, and it takes all our energy, all our creativity, and all our resources to really think how we can use that more effectively. And we have to be there for people because they're already there. Next slide. All right, this chart is really helpful. Oh, thank you. Social media is the lingua franca. It's the way we talk today in our society. Can you imagine not using telephones when we're growing up? Well, today's generation, not the future, but today, the language is Twitter and Facebook. In America, I know Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are blocked in China, but they have their counterparts too, Weibo, and they have a version of YouTube as well. And a lot of content and a lot of conversations are happening. So rather than thinking of real relationships being at number 10, talking, that's only one of 10 different ways of communicating and building relationships. Video chat. I got to connect with Jerry for this conference before we met in person. And so we got to know each other over a video chat. And you can get to know people through phone calls, texting, email, chatting, commenting on Facebook, liking Facebook status updates, and Twitter. So use every means possible to reach all people for Christ is what this is all about. And so this helped me, and I hope it helps you to visualize just how much we can connect with people using social media. And you'll notice this is all two-way. It's not just one-way broadcast where you're sending a message to everybody, but you actually get to have a conversation, have them talk back with you, and that deepens the relationship, deepens the engagement, and deepens the effectiveness of discipleship. I'm going to skip this chart, but just to show you different levels of engagement that can happen online. Sure, you want to reach a lot of people with your content by helping them watch the content in an attractive way. But as you move up the pyramid, it also deepens the relationship they have with you. If you have content that they want to share, that's a deeper level of engagement. If they're commenting on your content, so I don't know how your various ministries have your content positioned, but do you have open comments that invite people to talk back and ask questions, commenting? And then hopefully you can encourage people to produce and curate their content as well. And so as people are more engaged with your ministry, their heart is with you also, and you can empower them to share the work of your ministry. That's the potential of the internet. Okay. I alluded to how social media is multi-generational. And so this is actually my neighbor. Last year, Lord blessed them with twin boys. So the little boys are named Grant and Aiden, and this is a picture of the two boys with their parents as well as their grandparents. And they're kind of an iOS family, so everybody has an iPhone, everybody has an iPad, and everybody has a MacBook. And what I've noticed is the grandparents live in Nashville, Tennessee, and they visit here in Aliso Viejo about twice a year. But over the course of the year, they're staying connected on their iPads through is it FaceTalk? FaceTime. Through FaceTime. See, I'm not an iOS family. But through FaceTime, they're staying connected as multi-generational, so the grandparents can see their kids grow up in real time. So that was really neat to see when I was taking a walk with them, and they got their iOS device talking with each other, staying connected. Multi-generational. All right. And the content that you post online can have ongoing effect. It's not just a one-time event, but one-time content captured, distributed, has ongoing effect for months, weeks, and years into the future. Very, very efficient, very cost-effective, but this ongoing effect. This is a sample from Calvary Chapel, which is a large church here in Orange County. And you can see the different buttons there featuring 6 different pastors teaching through the Bible. And so they must have tens of thousands of sermons and manuscripts and Bible outlines that help equip Christian leaders as well as just young Christians to learn the Bible. And so I would love to see something like this for Chinese leaders, where we can platform and share the great content that you're producing to inspire and equip the next generations with good Bible teaching. And it's not that costly to do that. Publishing on the web has become cheaper and cheaper as time goes on. Another example of ongoing effect, I know the Chinese version of Jesus Central is here. So Jesus Central is actually, my last conversation with the founder is accessible in China. So they've had to work through some things to get their content approved, but they just feature stories and examples from the life of Christ. And it's become a great vehicle for discipleship as well as evangelism, that they provide great-looking design and community and conversation through this website. And not only do they provide it in English, they also provide it in Chinese. Next slide. With a similar design, so there's a cohesive design, and it's also provided in Arabic. And so the internet, because it's global, because it's worldwide, what the opportunity is to think multilingual as well. And so just as I'm speaking English, and most of you speak Chinese, 大部分人你们都是讲国语的，你如果考虑你的 internet strategy 可以用英文跟用中文 more effective, more people. And my last point, internet is great stewardship. So for very little money and very little effort, you can have tremendous impact. And this is a chart to just show you the contrast between China and America. And so what's happening in China, the red bar stands for China and how they're using different mediums. And the blue bar showing you what people are using in America. And so the chart here, print and radio declining. Television still has pretty good reach in America, but only 29% in China. But look at this, on internet and mobile, in China and in America, increasing reach to millions and millions of people. And so when you have a website that can handle the traffic, you have the potential to reach a lot of people. Very cost effectively as well. Cheaper than print, I heard that mentioned. Cheaper than mailing, right? And just to show you some numbers for people that like numbers, okay, direct mail, see how much that costs? $450 for direct mail. If you do mail order catalog, I know there's some radio ministries here, but look how cheap online search and online content can be. Again, these slides will be online at my website, djchuang.com, and Jerry will share that with everybody after the forum. Actually, I'll post it on the Facebook wall. How many of you are on the Facebook event? Okay, so right after this, I'll post the slides for you. Closing point. Social media is about people, not technology. Ministry is about people, not technology. And technology in the 21st century affords us a tremendous opportunity to serve more people around the world than ever. It's the Roman roads of our generation, and how can we not be there? I want to close with a personal appeal. This is a picture of my mom. She is 72 years old. She lives in Rockville, Maryland, and I visit her 2 or 3 times a year, and then we try to stay connected through video chat and phone calls. And my dad passed away 2 years ago after 3 years of battling a stroke and degrading health. And my mom was a young Christian, just disconnected from the Chinese community or any community. And being here in America has not been an easy life for my family, because they've had to become blue-collared and lived a humble life with a motel business. Well, my mom has since gotten connected into the church. There's a good Chinese church in Rockville, Maryland, and she's very active in the church. But what the internet has done for her, it's given her a new vitality to connect with great content online in terms of recipes, in terms of people, in terms of spiritual encouragement, and in terms of exercise. And here's the game changer I want to mention to you. The iPad supports Chinese. And so instead of learning to type or learning pinyin, you can use a stylus. So she uses a stylus and writes Chinese, and then she can search for things on the internet. Tremendous. And so when we got her a stylus, this little iPad device opened up the whole world to her. And she's got a hunger for learning. She tells me about videos and articles now. And before that, she was just kind of at home reading books and being bored. But now she has this whole world open to her, and her vitality, her energy, she's got a new youthfulness that has been so encouraging to me. So that's the good end of the story. But during the first year when she was grieving over the loss of my dad, we went on the internet looking for inspiring and encouraging Chinese Christian content. Now, I only speak English, but I had a very hard time finding good Chinese content. And so on behalf of the ABCs and the English speaking, if you can think bilingually and provide encouraging and inspiring content in both English and Chinese, it can help bring the family together and really minister to them in powerful, powerful ways. And the population here in America is about half English speaking, half Asian language speaking. And we're the fastest growing minority in America. We will, currently we're at 18 million. We will exceed 30 million in the span of the next 20 years. And so the harvest is plentiful here in the U.S., and many of you live in the U.S. And as missionaries, we want to reach those who are across the street as well as those across the oceans. So I wanted to leave some time for question and answer. Okay. 这里有个问题。
Talking about all the benefits of internet and social media, how about downside, an area to watch out for?
Okay, the question is, I've talked a lot about the benefits of the internet and social media. What are the downsides? There are certainly downsides to social media. What breaks my heart is the Christian world and the church world has spent so much time talking about the downside, they don't engage. And so if you look at the books that are published, they all talk about the downsides. And so my job is to level the playing field and talk about the upside. Yeah. But the downside is it's such a new form of communication that we don't know the long-term impact on people and society. So even for kids, they don't realize when they post something on Facebook or on Twitter that it can affect their careers in the future. One of the things that Pastor Rick has described the internet as is anything you post online is instant, global, and permanent. I mean, we've never had any technology that can do that. I mean, even a homeless guy in Nashville can have a platform on the internet. This is back in 2004. He was blogging from the public library, and he had a voice that reached the world instantly. It's amazing, the technology that we have. I don't know if you know this, but on Twitter, every tweet that you post and update is archived by the Library of Congress.
Seriously?
Yes, that started in 2010. So every tweet is archived in the Library of Congress. Now, you have to have a research degree to access that archive, but the idea is that everything is being archived. So it's a very powerful medium. But I think that's the biggest thing, that's the danger, is just we just don't know what the implications are. And so it's that long-term effect that we don't have perspective on, but those downsides should not keep us from engaging and using the tools that are before us, because if we don't use it, there's plenty of other people that are using it for bad things. And the way you deal with the bad things is you let the light shine in the darkness. I think that was a Jesus principle.
Okay, quick question, DJ. You mentioned the church online platforms.
Yes.
Can you tell me in USA how many different kind of church online platforms and
Yes.
what's the benefit for them? What's the future for them?
Yes.
And if you recommend one for us, what's the best one you want to recommend?
Okay, thank you. Church Online Platform, churchonlineplatform.com is the web address, and that's a free platform that Life Church provides for churches to use. I've heard through the rumor mill over 5,000 churches are using that platform in some way, shape, or form, but they're not all publicly available. I've been tracking the church online trend for 5 years now. So I have a list of churches that have live stream and church online, and that list is at 420 right now. And the ones that actually have what they call the church online experience, that list is over 100. So there are churches that are sharing their worship experiences with an online audience very intentionally, and even 5 or 10 of them have a online pastor to serve this online audience. In terms of the platform to use, so Church Online Platform is definitely one to check out because it's free. Other churches actually build their own platform. So the new trend in churches here in America is they'll actually hire developers as part of their staff to build apps to serve their church and to reach the world. There's a couple of turnkey solutions, but they're not really polished, I don't think, so I wouldn't recommend those. But the other big piece, in addition to the platform, you'll need is the live streaming video feed. Okay, so you have to have a lot of bandwidth and scalability to push the video feed through. Livestream.com is really popular. Some churches use ustream.tv. And I can provide a whole list of those for you if you email me. So new technologies are coming online all the time. So, but it's a tremendous opportunity. Like, I haven't found a Chinese church doing online church, but I know there's somebody presenting later that's talking about Chinese online church, so I look forward to hearing that. But Korean churches are doing multilingual online church. So I've found a couple Korean churches. They'll provide English, Korean, Chinese, and other languages for online worship. So it's tremendous outreach.
For online worship, the music part, I know listening to messages is easy up and down.
Yes.
Slow is okay, but how do you synchronize? Do you sing with them in your own experience? You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even to this morning when we worshiped.
Synchronize together, but online
Yes.
always a delay on.
Well,
Follow the sound, right?
the sound in the video is delivered in a synchronized fashion, and when people are singing in their living room or at their desk, then they can just sing in their own place because there's no audio coming back from the audience. Yes, so that's not a problem.
Sorry.
But there is a question related to music, because in America, a lot of worship music has copyright. So there's a lot of problems or a lot of issues related to copyright and how much you can broadcast online. And so there's special licensing you have to be concerned about. But if you write your own song, no problem. Right? Yeah. Okay.
New media usually give us for the next generation. So how do we extend that to reach us in our golden ages?
New media is often used for the next generation. And the question about the older?
Any suggestions to reach that to us in our golden ages?
Okay, how to use new media to reach the older generation? Two ideas, and just from my example with my mom, is providing the training for someone older to use it is tremendously helpful, because new technology is so new. There's no books or training classes or anything to learn how to use it. Now, kids, they don't mind just picking it up and figuring it out. But for older people, they like a class or a tutorial and provide that training. And so when actually my mom's Chinese friends sat down with her and showed her how to use the iPad with Chinese, and just showing that to her and giving her the training was instrumental at opening the world for her. And it just took a few hours. It didn't take very long. So providing training. The next interview I'm posting on Social Media Church is from a pastor in Memphis, Tennessee. And what they do at their church is they set up a Genius Bar, just like Apple Store. But they have a Genius Bar at church to teach people how to use their church app and how to use their church website and how to use social media. So providing training opens the door. And I think that's the missing link for the older generation. And then if you look at the statistics on Facebook, the older generation is the fastest growing demographic. Do you know why? Grandkids. Yes, so there's value and incentive already there, but older people just need a little encouragement, and they're off to the races. Because I see it with my mom, and so she's a pretty classic example. And then I also watch the next generation. I have a 16-year-old boy who's a junior in high school. And so he's my reverse mentoring. So I'm watching him to see how he uses smartphones and technology and Facebook. And he uses those things in a different way than I would. But he helps me to see into the future of how the next generation's using it. So I want to learn from them as well.